Wizards of the Coast has killed a live-action Dragonlance project that Joe Manganiello was trying to spearhead. Not only did they kill the project, they have refused to sell the IP to Joe Manganiello so he could indeed develop this live-action project. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Let's get into this here. Let's get into this here. This is over at thatparkplace.com. Wrote this up. So if you are unfamiliar, Joe Manganiello did indeed try to get a Dragonlance project up and running. He made the tease during the March 2023 Dungeons & Dragons 2023 announcement showcase. He said at the time, ultimately, it was my love of Dragonlance that opened the door for my involvement with the brand, working tirelessly to develop a live-action version of the Dragonlance novels that have never been far from my thoughts throughout all these years since I first read them. We would then get an interview with the Dragonlance creators, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. They told Polygon that hope springs eternal, especially in Margaret and I. At least Tracy told them that. Hickman went on and said, we have always believed that Dragonlance would be a wonderful setting in many different media, and we've always thought it would make a wonderful film or streaming series. Margaret and I have always said there was somebody out there, some child who has read the books and fallen in love with them, and that they would grow up one day. Manganiello was that boy who found solace in Solus, and now he's come to a position where, he'd like to do something about it. So this was pretty exciting news when Manganiello announced it back in March. I'm a big fan of the Dragonlance properties. I think these original 4 novels are absolutely fantastic, but I actually think the twin novels about Raistlin Majere and Caramon were even better, where they actually do indeed travel back in time. It's probably one of the best. They actually do time travel right. And it works really well. You get that family drama. You get this intense I don't really want to call it palace intrigue, but there's obviously politics involved. You've got the pantheon of gods and all of that thing. Really, really well done. You've got like this idea of fate challenging the gods and all of that, and then obviously a ton of lessons both for Caramon and Raistlin. Extremely, extremely well written. I cannot recommend those twin novels enough. Definitely read those as I was like in high school. And I guess middle school as well. Just devoured these books. Absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, Manganiello and Hickman's hopes have been dashed by Wizards of the Coast. Manganiello informed comicbook.com Dragonlance is not a property Wizards of the Coast are interested in developing further currently. As for what his plans were, this is what he shared. What I had planned for the first season was mind-blowing. I just want to make the Dragonlance show because I want to see it, and I just want to feel that excited and electric about something. The characters, like the casting, I have a lookbook with over 1,000 pages, but it's not what you expect. The design concepts I had for the world, for the armor, for the swords, I had a fresh take on what the dragons were going to look like. It was going to be nothing like anyone has ever seen. And these beloved characters that have been read by, I think Tracy said there's 35 million copies in circulation. So there's a little bit of concern there. I love his excitement, his enthusiasm. Obviously, I feel like he is a fan of the books and the novels. But the idea that he has these design concepts that no one had ever seen, and it was like a fresh take on what the dragons were going to look like. No, we already have concept designs. You can see what the armor looks like, see what the characters look like. You know what the dragons look like. Stick to what we see on these covers. Like, this is what we saw on the covers. This is kind of how I imagine these characters, because that's how they were depicted on the covers. I think you should stick with that. You don't need to do this fresh, new, never before seen stuff. I mean, the reason why I think Dragonlance is so beloved is because you have kind of traditional Western dragons and in a kind of fantasy medieval setting, and that is successful. So you don't need to change that. So that would be my advice there. He also revealed the script was received outside of Wizards of the Coast, I guess. He said the biggest fantasy literary agent in town. He said, and these are his words and not mine, that it was the best fantasy pilot he had read since the original Game of Thrones. There was another executive that read it and said it was one of the best fantasy scripts he's ever read. I actually got an email just this morning from a producer who said it was awesome and that he wanted to send it to the rest of his company and hopes I develop another fantasy IP. So that could be interesting. We might see his ideas for Dragonlance be turned into something else. Maybe there is that potential there. But this is the big piece of information right here. So not only did Wizards of the Coast scrap the project, but they also did not allow Manganiello to buy the rights to Dragonlance. This is what he said to comicbook.com. He said, I offered to buy Dragonlance. I was talking to people with money just to get it and separate it so that I could get the option and take it out on the town. But clearly, they were not interested in that, and it didn't come to fruition. While the project is dead at Wizards of the Coast, he did express that he hopes to adapt it sometime in the future. He said maybe somewhere down the line, someone comes back or the company switches hands and somebody sees the value. I definitely feel like there is a ton of value in the Dragonlance property. I don't know if a live action would be good. I know they did that. They did an animated show previously, but maybe if you take it to Netflix or something like that, and Netflix does an animated show, definitely not Kevin Smith or something like that. You have to get people that are going to stay faithful to the books. You want a live action adaptation. Depending on who's producing it at Netflix, I think you can get that. Certain people do understand that. Obviously, I think the people that were doing the One Piece show did understand they needed to stay pretty faithful to the manga and the anime. And I think they were rewarded for that. Obviously, the people that were doing the Avatar, The Last Airbender, don't seem to understand that. And I think they're going to pay the price for that. How many other manga and anime adaptations have we seen them do where they just butchered the source material and created something completely different from what people wanted? So I do think that this would be a property that people would really be interested in. Again, 35 million copies. I'm one of those people that pretty much devoured all of the Dragonlance books that Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman wrote. I haven't read any of their new stuff recently. Just been reading a lot of other things. But this would be something I would love to see, especially right here, the Twins trilogy. It was really good. How can you not like Caramon and Raceland and everything that happened in there? Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting that anytime soon because of Wizards of the Coast shutting it down. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below.